Alright, so in this little demo, I am going to show you how to use a Scumbler brush to form clouds, such as the clouds you see in the Bear Tree and Fall in the Paintworks April edition. So I am using a number 6 Princeton Select Scumbler, and what it is, it's like a dome round bristle brush, so it's a little bit fuller than a true round, and it's got stiff bristle brushes. So I've got my sky washed on. It's a gradient yellow, so it's some raw sand up top and yellow ochre and some white down here all blended into one. And I just washed on some hills in the background. So I am going to start my clouds. I'm going to grab my palette so you can see how I load the brush. Excuse my hands in your way. And my brush is dry. So when you first buy the brush, by the way, these brushes are for sale on my website if you want one at RebeccaTrimble.com. There'll be sizing in the brush, and you want to make sure you wash it out and then dry the brush off really well before you use it, because you want a dry brush. I've got a bunch of colors here, but ignore them. I'm using white and raw umber to start off my cloud. So I'm just going to take my brush into some raw umber and in some white. And I'm just making a medium browny gray color. Maybe make them a little bit darker. And that's going to be for our shadowing, so underneath the clouds will be darker. Okay, I have an awful lot of paint on my brush, probably more than I'm going to want, so I'm going to wipe some of that off. And let's see, I'm going to start some clouds over here. So I'm going to start kind of a perpendicular motion, and I'm just circling this color onto my sky, just starting to form the shapes of my clouds. I'm going to bring this down, bring it off the canvas. I'm just moving the brush around and around. I'm going to add some more paint to my brush. And this undercoat, first coat, if you're doing the brown, darker color underneath, you don't need to be too precise. Just some messiness is fine. You can see how messy that's looking. Just making some good shapes. And I'll load my brush again. I'll do some down here. My hand's in the way, but you can see. So I would hold my brush up and down, but you can't see it on the DVDs, so I'm holding it more at an angle, just so you can see it better what I'm doing. Otherwise, keep your brush in a perpendicular movement. It's easier. So I'm just blending all this color out, just scrubbing it on. Scrub, scrub, scrub. And you can see how quickly that dries. That's already dry. Thinking I'm going to make one big cloud, actually. I think that's how the Paintworks project is. So let's fix this up a bit. Yeah. So because I'm doing that, this is going to be larger. Get this going. Probably even go off the canvas up here. And then more paint. Start down here. Get this darker. Okay. That shape is a little bit better. I'm going to bring this right under the horizon. So this whole sky is going to be a bunch of clouds. More of a stormy day. So I'll bring that off here. So your initial shape's pretty important if you want to kind of get that shape in there. Don't make it as big, your initial shape as big as you want your clouds to be, because when you get to the lighter whites, that's going to grow your clouds even more. So keep your initial shape a little bit smaller than you would hope. You know, things tend to grow on us when we paint. We know that. All right. So that'll be my starting of my cloud. You want to let that dry. And it's already started to dry, so we're just going to keep going. My dry, dirty brush, I'm just going to dip it in some more white. And it's going to make it a little bit of a dirty white. You can kind of see that. And we're just going to start highlighting. I'm going to wipe some of this off. And I'm going to start at the tops. And I'm not putting very much pressure on. I'm just going in a circular motion here. Just scrubbing off some of this paint color. And just start adding some of the cloud dimensions in here. Okay. Let's start over here. So I'm going to have my sunlight coming from this side. So the tops over here are going to be the lightest, and the unders and on the right side will be the darkest. So start your highlights on your top left side and work it down to the bottom right. And that will give you some highlights going. Load my brush some more. So when I first load my brush, it has a lot of paint on it, so it's easy to offload a lot of paint onto your canvas. So I don't press very hard when I first load my brush. I'm barely touching the canvas. And then as I start getting rid of some of the paint off my brush, I start pressing harder and harder to keep getting paint there. But you can see how the clouds are starting to form. And if you lose too much of your shadows, not a big deal. We can go back in with some darker color and put some shadows back in. Okay, so again, I am using Deco Art Raw Umber and Titanium White. Are just the two colors I'm using. And then a number 6 Princeton Select Scumbler brush. And you can get as loose or as detailed with these clouds as you want to get. But keep in mind, when I started painting, unfortunately, I don't always have the whole, like I have no idea what I'm doing with this. Right now I just have clouds going on. So sometimes you spend a lot of time on all these detailed clouds and then you end up putting a tree or a house there and covering up. So if you already have your pattern, kind of sketch out your pattern, and then that way you're not focusing too much of the time and attention on clouds. It's just going to get covered up by a building. Okay, I'm bringing some more lights down here, making this into another cloud. The clouds are overlapping each other. Okay, so there gives you an idea. You can keep going on and on and on and putting more and more layers if you want and make, brighter and brighter areas. So check back in a few weeks. Maybe I'll have this painting finished and I'll attach it to this video and show you what the final finished project looks like. And if you have any questions on anything, any techniques, email me anytime you want at rebecca@rebeccatrimble.com. And again, send me photos of what your finished projects looks like. I would love to see them. Thanks and have fun painting.